Alright, today we're covering Lesson 6.6 Part 2, in which we're going to be simplifying expressions in exponential or radical form. This goes along with past skill 1, A and B, converting expressions from radical notation to rational exponents, vice versa, and then also to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and simplify expressions containing rational exponents. Okay, today we've got a couple examples for you here. First thing I want to point out is simplifying expressions. Everything we learned back in Lesson 6.1 applies to rational exponents. We want to be sure to write each expression with all positive exponents. Also, any exponents in the denominator of the fraction must be positive integers. So, basically, you cannot have a fraction as an exponent in the denominator of a fraction, because that would mean that you've got a radical in the denominator. Not allowed. Alright, so our first one up here, remember some of the basic rules on these. When you are multiplying and the bases are the same, you add the powers. Okay? So on this one, all I've got to do is I'm going to have A, and 2/7 plus 4/7 is the 6/7 power. Okay? This method is acceptable, or you can write it with a radical. This would be the 7th root of A to the 6th. Both of these are equivalent statements. Okay? Now also, the difference between this and something like A to the 2/7 to the 3rd power, on this one, of course, you would multiply your exponents and get A to the 6/7 power in this case. Alright? So remember that when you're going through and doing these, when to add and when to multiply your exponents. Looking at this one. Okay. This really means, remember, a negative power means that it's the denominator of a fraction. So it's really 1 over b to the 5/6 power. Now, we've got the fraction down here as a power, which is not allowed. So what I want to do is I want to multiply this by, of course, the number 1, but I'm going to change the way my number 1 looks. Okay? Now, I either need to get this to be 6/6, 12/6. I need to get this to be a whole number down here rather than a fraction. In this case, to increase this power up to 6/6, I would just need to multiply this by b to the 1/6 power. Whatever you put here to keep the value of this fraction as 1, do the same thing right up here. Now multiply across, similar to what we did over here. This is just 1 times b to the 6th, which is b to the 1/6. Over b to the 5/6 times b to the 1/6 is b to the 6/6. Now, b to the 6/6 is the same as b to the 1st. So our final answer on this one is b to the 1/6 over b. Another option for writing that one, you could say that this is the 6th root of b over b. Either way is fine. This way I like better. Okay? Moving on to my second example for today. When simplifying a radical expression, always use the least index possible. So, the least index possible on these things. In other words, we're going to simplify the fractions that are powers after we've got them written that way as rational exponents. Okay? But the answer should be written in radical form. So we're going to translate back into radical. Okay, so on this one, I've got the 4th root of 27. Now 27 is 3 to the 3rd power. So this is actually the 4th root of 3 to the 3rd power, or 3 to the 3/4 power. Okay? On the bottom, this is 3 to the 1/2 power. And recall your rules with exponents. This is actually going to be 3 to the 3/4 minus 1/2 power. Okay, when you're dividing and the bases are the same, subtract the exponents. So what I have here, this is 3/4. This could be considered 2/4. So this is going to be 3/4 minus 2/4 is 1/4. That's 3 to the 1/4 power. Now translate that back into a radical form. So this is going to be the 4th root of 3. And my last example, 64. Alright, if you think about 64, 64 is actually 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. That's actually 2 to the 6th power. So I have 2 to the 6th, z to the 6th, and I'm looking at the third root of this thing. Which, translating it, that's going to be 2 to the 6 thirds power, z to the 6 thirds power. 6 thirds is 2, so that's 2 squared, z squared. Now let's go ahead and translate that back into 4. So our final answer on this one is 4z squared. All right? No radicals necessary because we don't have any rational exponents. That's it for today's lesson.